Um, Briefly, running back through things that we've already been through. We learned what a staff was over in lesson number 1. Staff is where we write music on, and it consists of 5 lines, evenly spaced in 4 spaces. We learned what a treble clef was. Our clef signs we use to give definite lines or definite names to the lines and spaces on the staff. Generally, our treble clef is used for writing higher notes, and our bass clef is used for writing lower notes. Another name for the treble clef is the G clef, and another name for the bass clef is the F clef, because this 4th line right here, these 2 dots gives that 4th line the letter name of F, and this circles around that 2nd line, which gives it the name of G. We learned the names of our lines and spaces. We also learned how to draw whole notes. We learned that music uses the first 7 letters of the alphabet for notation: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So we learned in the treble clef that the spaces spell the word face. We also learned that the lines gave us E, G, B, D, F. Every good boy does fine, every girl buys designer fashions. Whichever mnemonic you use to remember it, that's cool. Down in the bass clef, we learned a little bit of biology here. We learned that all cows eat grass. A, C, E, G. And we also learned that even though the economy's not doing the way we want it to do right now, and your paycheck isn't going up, girls buy designer fashion anyway. G, B, D, F, A. Cool. So, we learned all of that. We learned 3 different types of notes. We learned whole notes. We learned that if you take a whole note and you stick a stem on it, it becomes a half note. We also learned that you can write the stem going up or down. Down on the left side, up on the right side. Up right, down left. We learned that it went down. We learned that the stems go down left on the 3rd line and above, and below the 3rd line they go up right. We also learned that if you take the half notes and you fill in the note heads, then all of a sudden they become quarter notes. Cool. So, we've got the names of the notes. We've got the different types of notes. What's next? Well, 2 more basic things and you'll be able to do some basic music notation. The next thing that I want to teach you about is measures. Measures. Now, just like we put punctuation at the end of a sentence, music has its own little bits of punctuation to help everything flow smoothly together and you just not have 3 gazillion notes written in one big open space. The first thing here, we take the staff and we separate it. With these lines, these vertical lines here, these are called bar lines. These are called bar lines. Bar lines divide the staff into what we call measures. Right up here in front, there are 4 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. The space between bar lines are called measures. Another name for measures is simply bars. So if you've heard someone say, oh, well, we want you to play for 32 bars before, then you know what they're talking about. They want you to play for 32 measures. Usually you'll hear that in jazz. Those of you who are into hip-hop, you might remember Chubb Rock's song, Just the Two of Us, which was released back in 1990, where he talked about somebody was there to rap a 16-bar. He's not a rap star, not saying that I am, but I'm the jam. A 16 bar, 16 measures, because typically most rap songs, usually the rappers do a standard of 16 bars or 16 measures. Okay, at the end of every piece of music, you have what we call a double bar, which is 1 thick bar and 1 thin bar here. It's used to denote the end of the music. And I'm just going to exaggerate this one a little teeny tiny bit here so you can see it a lot better. Okay. Double bar, thick bar, thin bar at the end. So we've got 4 measures. Matter of of fact, let's stick our treble clef at the beginning here. And those of you who are already music savvy, you already recognize, hey, we've got the basic elements of stuff here. All I need to do is put one more thing on here and we'll be all set to go. Take some of your time, and what you can do is this. Practice drawing measures. Actually, you know what? I think what I'm going to do, and of course, you'll have already figured it out by the time you get to this lesson, I'm going to scan a piece of blank staff paper for you to take and practice on. Practice separating the staff into measures. While you're writing music, you may have figured out, duh, we can't just keep music running on and on and on and on in one straight line. Because paper's vertical and we're writing horizontally. We're going to run out of space. Well, eventually what happens is this. Notice I just stuck another bar line on the end there to end that measure off. All I'm going to do is draw another staff underneath of that. Put some more bar lines in until we get to the end of the music. Then I'll stick my double bar in. You'll notice it's the same piece of music. It's not absolutely mandatory, because sometimes musicians do it, sometimes they don't. They may stick the treble clef back up here again to remind you what clef you're in. They may not. I've seen some jazz pieces where there is no extra clef sign here. I've seen some where there is. It's one of those, you can or you can't. I'll put it up here just so you always remember what you're reading in. Cool. So, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 measures up here. We have 9 measures available. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, we're going to count that one, 5, 6, 7, 8 bar lines, and we have a double bar over here at the end. So, we've learned some pretty cool concepts. Do this, and this is actually one of the little student assignments out of the Master Theory book. Separate a staff into 8 measures. Do things like put one whole note in each measure. Separate a staff into 8 measures. Put one whole note in each measure. Practice writing your whole notes on lines or in spaces so that you can get them nice and even and get used to doing them. This is going to help you out when you start notating and writing down your own music. Okay. And also practice doing it with quarter notes, half notes, if you're going to use quarter notes, for the time being, and I'll explain why later, use 4 quarter notes in each measure, not just 2. Stick about 2 half notes in each measure, not just 1. All right. Those are the basic concepts for this one. I hope this has been able to help you out tremendously. You've got measures, you've got bar lines. Hope it helps you out, and that'll pretty much cover it for this one. Brief review. Staff is divided by bar lines into measures. Think of them as punctuation marks to separate sentences. At the end of the music, there is a double bar. At the end of the music, there's a double bar, which is a thick one and a thin one right next to each other. 2 of them, double bar. Okay, that's pretty much it. Catch you on the next lesson.